Hello everybody, Reggie Time here again with another of these hand review videos which seem to be pretty popular. Probably because I'm begging for likes, but I'm going to keep doing that because it's very gratifying to see them. So please, before any further ado, if you've been enjoying this content and just want to support the channel, hit those like buttons. Please don't forget to share and subscribe to like any poker networks that you're part of. And that would be much appreciated. These hands are taken from a session I played last night on Sky, last night being Wednesday, if you're watching this quite soon after it's been produced. There's, I think I played the session for around 2 hours, close to 2 hours. There's only, I think, 13 or 14 hands to look at. There was some action hands, but it wasn't particularly like hyper high action session, but we got straight into it under like literally the very first hand of the night. We have this player here who is pretty bad, limps a lot, not that good. This player here who is a new regular, got him tagged orange at the minute because I don't know much about him. He might be better than orange though, I'm not sure. And then it comes down to us in the big blind with king queen suited. This guy definitely seems like he's decent and like decently aggressive. Not sure what his 5x isolation range looks like because I actually don't know much about him. But we have the king queen suited. We could elect to call, see a flop here, let the fish come in. But I'm going to be out of position to two people. I'd rather just raise it now, 3-bet now, hopefully take it down pre, and if not, go to the flop with a more than reasonable holding. I think if the fish defends calls a 3-bet, this guy's going to come along with like a big chunk of his range, given he's going to be in position against the fish and against me. If we get through this dude, maybe we get through them all. Who knows? So we do put the squeeze on. And we get called, and we get a reasonable flop. I mean, it's not bad at all for our opponent's range. But we have the 2 overs, we have the gut shot, we have the backdoor flush draw. So I think at c-bet is very much in order here. Somewhere in the region of, what would half pot be? We're going to be less than half pot. Somewhere in the region of like 180 to 220 I'd be fine with. We go with the smaller sizing. And he peels. Pretty awful turn card. We're not likely to get many folds on this. I think I remember this hand now. I think we just end up check folding here. It's just not a great card for us to get folds on. Of course, we can maybe, if he's the type that peels with most pocket pairs pre-flop and then just floats that flop c-bet size, which he should with most of his pairs, I guess. Maybe we're just giving up the pot too often to him, but it's not a good turn card for us. Doesn't improve us. Doesn't bring us any more fold equity other than the fold equity you get from repping super strength. If we bet again, we're kind of repping aces, kings, queens, maybe pocket jacks, stuff like that. So if he's a good player, he might fold like something like 2 10s, 2 8s, 2 7s to a double barrel, but it's just a small part of his range, and I don't think I want to try and be putting more money in the pot just to get such a small part of his range. We check. I think he bets and we just fold. And there's not much else we can do there. I think we played the hand fine. It just didn't work out for us. And we move on. Into this next hand. It's a different table. There have been 2 limpers before it gets to us. So we ISO raise, or try to ISO raise. As you can see, it didn't work. We ISO raise to 6x with king jack offsuit on the button, which I think is fine versus 2 limpers. It's a very fishy table. Every player was a fish except this dude who's pretty uninspirational, regular. Maybe he makes money, probably makes money because the games are soft enough, but he was tagged as a fish for a long time. I think he's like upgraded his game to orange just about, but yeah, it's a really good table. And I'm happy to try and like get heads up here with king jack off. It didn't work. In fact, everybody came along. So now we have like a pretty unusual spot where we've got top pair, like decent kicker in a very bloated pot multi-way. Let's have a look what the stack sizes are. So we got pretty deep with this dude, and then against these two, I guess we'd be willing to just commit. I think my plan here would probably have been, I don't remember this hand too well, would probably have been to bet pretty big. If either of these guys puts in a lot of action, probably make a sad face, sigh and fold, and that'd be willing to get it in versus any raises from these two players. That was the plan, I guess. Turn two pairs, but this board is now like, it's good for us in terms we've got two pairs, but what are we going to continue getting action from? King Queen, I guess. I would imagine most people wouldn't have Ace King in the range here, given how the hand went down pre-flop. Some flushes have got there, nothing much else. Looking back now, at the time I remember being like scared of the flush draw. Not scared of the flush draw, scared of the flush having got there. And I believe I checked back, but looking back now, I think we should just put it in. We've got an SPR of 1. If someone's got a flush, then fuck our lives. We can just get value from like any King X, I guess, like reasonable King X from either of these players. They're both going to be like bad enough and loose enough to call with King Queen, King 10 maybe even King 9 suited pre-flop. Maybe once in a while there's some Ace King out there too. Yeah, I think we should just pile here. Try and knock this guy out if he has got some kind of like pair with the draw, and not worry too much about this guy, but I know that's what I didn't do. I think I just allowed it to check through, which was, I think, a mistake. The ace pops off on the river, which is another stupid card. And I end up folding, and I think I fucked this hand up. I didn't play this hand well. It's kind of an unusual situation when you 6x raise pre and get 4 callers. The pot got uncomfortably big, and yeah, I think I should almost assuredly. I mean, I don't even know. Did I even? I might even have called here. I can't remember. Genuinely can't remember what happened here. I think I probably should call, although I don't expect to be beating very much. Should I call? And we're getting a really good price out. We're getting like 3-1 on a call. I mean, maybe he just has like the ace 10 with the ace, like ace 10 with the ace of hearts or something, or with a heart. Don't remember what to do. I think now I'm leaning towards side calling. I think we can't. I don't think we can check that turn and then fold this particular river. It's not a great card because some of his like other two pairs, if he's got like ace king, somehow he's got there. If he had ace jack, he's now got there. Ace eight's now got there. So it's not the best of cards, but I think we need to be calling here and just being generally upset with the situation. Let's see what I did. And we did go with the call, and of course he had the nuts. Yeah, never mind. Again, suck it up, Buttercup, and move on, I guess. I mean, I guess we can be happy that we checked the turn and saved ourselves whatever we had left, £7. But yeah, it's just plain results, isn't it? I think we should just jam the turn. Yeah, we lose more, but I think it would have been the better play overall. And this is why, perhaps just on a slight deviation for a moment, after this session, I realised that I've been playing too weak for a while on Sky, and especially weak since probably towards the late end of last week now, when like we've been on a bit of a roller coaster. We've kind of broke even now for a week. In terms of variance, it's not been enormous variance compared to what you guys are used to, but in terms of variance for me on Sky, it's been higher than usual. And I think I've been trying to take some like variance reducing lines, which have effectively just been me playing fucking 2 week tight. So last night I played some 10L snap and just decided, fuck it, let's just go try and get out a line as much as we can, just to try and get back into the habit of making thinner value bets, making more bluffs. three betting some more hands pre-flop, opening more hands from the cutoff and the button, because I've certainly been playing too tight lately as well. Like I said, just been trying to reduce my variance while still trying to maintain my win rate. That's never a good idea. It's not something I consciously do. It's just something that I naturally morph into from time to time, and that's what's been happening. And I think this hand is a very good example of that. I think we should just jam this turn, and if someone's got a flush, then whatever. I think we played this hand quite badly, but never mind. We've learned from it, and hopefully we're going to be peaking just in time for the weekend that is around the corner. So here we have two kings and an unknown player who is more than likely going to be a fish given his stack depth has 4x'd. No reason not to 3-bet here. Really quite big against a 4x open. I don't remember the hand at all. I genuinely don't remember. So I'm seeing this like with a fresh pair of eyes almost. If I go less than £2.60 with this 3-bet size, I'd be disappointed. I'd be happy with anything £2.60 to £3. Anything more is probably too much. Anything less is probably too little. We do go to 280. Our opponent has a little think and folds. Well, this hand wasn't meant to be in the video. Never mind. Maybe I'll just pause it. I just had like 8 minutes was like the next hand to look at. But obviously it wasn't that one. Let's just keep playing it through because there's bound to be a hand coming in just a moment. So we get involved with it. What with a 3-7? I can assure you of that. This will be the one. So we have the aces. We open. Oh, sweet. We get 3-bet. So I think it's an interesting sizing question here. This is a 20NL table. So he's made like a pretty sizable 3-bet up to what's that, like 8? No, not 18, fuck 18. 13, 14 big blinds, is it? Something like that. It's 10 big blinds, yeah, 13 big blinds or so. So typically I like to make my 4-bets to like 22 or 23 big blinds, but we can't do that versus this sizing. The smallest we can go to is 24 big blinds, and that's just like the click back. So it's pretty interesting about how we want to do this here, but against a regular, I think we'd have to go with a really small click back just to try and reduce some action. But against a fish, he's made a pretty big raise. I think we can make a pretty big 4-bet and not have it influence his decision with some of his more marginal hands. He's either going to have something he's going with or something he's not. Whether we make this, say, £4.80 or £5.80, I don't think it makes an awful lot of difference to what he does with his range here. I suspect he's just going to have a hand he likes and not go anywhere. Hopefully he jams, but even if he just calls, we're going to have such a low SPR that the post flop's going to be super simple too. So I'd like to see us go minimum 540 here, which would be what, 27 bigs, but I'd have no issue if we went to like up to 6 even. Let's see what we do go to. 520. That's fine. He calls. So what size should we be using against a fish here? I think I just want to bet enough where we can just jam the turn. I think anything between £4 to less than £6, like £4 to £5.80, just jam turn's going to be okay. See what I did in game. I went with the 460. Obviously fine. Super trivial jam on the turn. Shouldn't have that many jacks, and if he does, then fuck our lives. And he has the 7s, and we drag down the tasty one. So there we go. After an couple of early setbacks, we kickstart the session 8 minutes in. And apparently my notes say the very next hand is, so we just keep the video rolling. So this must be it. So we've missed what's gone on here. Let's just take it back a notch. Right, so, because obviously we've not caught the pre-flop action at this table, probably because I was too busy with the aces. It looks like, given the size of the pot, there's 294 in there. I don't remember. Do not remember the action, I'm afraid. I was almost certainly the pre-flop raiser. Reasonable chance I stab small on this flop just for some like thinnish value from 10x, worst pairs, etc. And then we've had this donk on the turn and a call. What to do here? what to do here. I think calling's out of the question, isn't it? We do have a boat, but so not that much to protect against, just like the king or the ace rolling off. But we want to get more value on the turn than this, I think. I don't know what to do. Again, I don't remember the hand. My short-term memory must be fucked. Considering I didn't smoke any pot as a youngster, fuck knows why my short-term memory is so fucked. My long-term memory is great. Short-term memory is fucking diabolical. But I think we should raise here. Not too big. Just somewhere up around 160 up to £2 maybe, something like that. Seems reasonable. We decided to go to £2.20. When we get the call from the fish, well, one of the fish, and then I'm not sure where I put this hand in. It's not particularly interesting, to be fair. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, on to the next one. So here we have two queens. We have this like pretty dull regular who's isolated a limper to 4x. I doubt he does this with like a weak range. I think he's usually when he does this he's going to have a pretty strong hand, but queens is still ahead of his range with doing it. This guy's caught in a small blind of a really easy and natural squeeze situation. It looks like I'm going with a big one given he's 4x and called. I think it's perfectly reasonable sizing, and I'd have no issue with going even slightly bigger here just to try and get heads up specifically against this guy. We get one or two callers. Two callers. And the question is what to do on this flop, I guess. I don't just want to give up. If we check here and the dude up here bets, we're kind of really fucking handcuffed into like probably check call flop, check fold turn, which feels pretty disgusting. And I also feel we can still get value for buzz here. Having queen is quite useful because it blocks a lot of king-queen, and that the king being out there. So, do I think a king's a big part of either of these two people's range? Obviously, both can have some kings in the range, but I don't think a king forms a big part of either person's range. This dude probably 4-bets ace king a decent amount pre-flop. This guy is most likely to have the kings, I think, because he can have a lot of like king jack, king 10. Maybe he just keeps calling with ace king pre. You can have like some of the combos of king queen. So if anyone's going to have a king here, it's more likely to be him, I think, out of the two opponents. Could be wrong there. My thinking could be way off, but it makes sense to me. So I think I just want to bet here just to try and, well, hopefully I'm happy just to set the pot down now. Deny equity to any ace x that might just check back and hit the turn. Charge any draws that might be out there. Get value from some 10x if we bet small enough. I think it's like a bet here, but pretty small. I wouldn't want to see myself going bigger than £3. Let's see what we do. And a check. I don't like the check. No, we definitely should bet. And we take it down, but I think we probably should have just bet the flop there. Continued repping a strong hand. I mean, we've put whatever we put in pre, 17 big blinds pre, and then it comes down king high. Against two regulars there, it's a much tougher spot. I don't know. I'd be honest with you, it's a spot I'm not that confident in when we have like the under pair. But against these two specific players, I think we can safely just bet fold that flop for a bit of protection, a little bit of value, and just to avoid potentially opening ourselves to being bluffed on later streets. So yeah, didn't like that flop play, but it turned out okay. So let's just learn from it and crack on. I think this is the next hand. It said 26 minutes on my notes. We make a simple raise with the jacks. And I've got a note here on my notepad about what my thoughts were during this hand. We go with a big c-bet into two fishy players with what's very likely to be the best hand. You get called, and I elect to check this turn, not because I'm scared. My notes say I was going for the turn check raise here, probably hoping to have him like just bet fold some floats or Maybe if he's got a hand like 8-7, 9-7, Ace-7, whatever, he's got some 7x, he might be the type of player that just bets his 7x here. Because he's been checked too. So I was definitely going for like a turn check raise here. Like I was just going to check jam. And our opponent disappointed us, and now we just guess forced to check and bluff catch. And we lose to 3-6, which is fucking hilarious, because if we'd have decided to bet what is basically the nuts on the turn, in fact, not basically nuts, is it that? No, it's not the actual nuts, but it's as good as the nuts. If he'd have bet the turn, he'd have absolutely felted me. And he didn't bet the river too. I've absolutely no fucking clue why I didn't lose more money in this hand. And there you go. Welcome to Sky Poker. Guy limp calls 3-6 off button, flops the world, just calls, and then doesn't put any more money in when check 2, when he could have just felted me. But yeah, we'll take it. But that was definitely a let off, because I was absolutely going for the turn check raise there, and fortunately my opponent did not allow me to execute it. So in this hand we have the King 10 blind versus blind 3-handed. This player is a member of the Facebook group. I'm not going to give her name away in terms of her Sky name, but she'll know who she is. Not sure if she watches the videos or not. Not sure she'll enjoy seeing this one either, because I remember it. But it's an unusual play that I made on the turn in this hand, because I remember it quite well, because I quite enjoyed myself. And yeah, so it's just in the video. It's not super interesting, I don't think, but we'll put it in anyway, because if she does watch it, maybe it'll steam her up a little bit. So we defend versus the open from her, and then she uses this size on this board, which I wasn't convinced by. And maybe she'll adjust and start using this size for different purposes. So I just wasn't convinced. I don't think this is a good size to use on this board texture, blind versus blind. It just looks weak to me. I hovered over the fold for a while, but then realised, well, we just can't fold here. We have like 2 overs, a little bit of backdoor potential, and there's like some turn cards we can attack on if she continues to bet small, or just checks. So in the end I elect to float here. Not sure how good that is, but I think it's better than just folding. Turn comes a Jack, which is a pretty good card for us. And again, she bets relatively small. Well, not relatively, less than half pot. And I just don't think many players use this sizing with like really strong hands here. If they have like over pairs or sets or some kind of like 2 pairs, strong draws, I don't think this is a sizing that's going to be used too often. And I suspect this lady thinks I'm something of a nit and wouldn't expect me to bluff very often in this spot, I guess. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to do just that. I mean, our hand's going to play really easy. If she 3 bets, we just have the simplest fold ever, and we adjust to that sizing. But I think we're going to get a lot of folds here. Sometimes she's maybe going to call, and we're either going to hit a king or a 10 or a queen that could improve. Well, a queen obviously would give us the nuts. King and the 10 might give us the best hand. So I decided to go with the raise based purely on her like sizing more than anything else. I don't think she looks like she wants to believe me here, but she eventually does, and it's only a small pot. I just think it's I think it was a good example of how maybe we can try and exploit some weak sizings from players that we know quite well. Now, obviously, now I've given this hand away, she does watch it. That's something I'll need to be aware of going forward. But I just think it was a interesting small pot. So here we've raised pre-flop with 2 kings, and we get a disturbing flop, I think. If a lot of money goes in here, then how likely is it 2 kings are going to be in good shape? Probably not too likely versus a regular. And also, my current dynamic with this player feels to me, and it could be wrong, he might be running hot against me, feels to me like he's trying to exploit my like current weaker, tighter tendencies and just like get after me a little bit. So on this sort of board, I'm going to I'm going to, again, this is a very specific line to this player. I'm going to have a lot more like checks in my range with all kinds of hands, and just let him fire against me if that's what he's doing. I kind of feel that that's what he is doing a bit, and I want to kind of like strengthen up my check calling range a little bit versus him, because he's just been like trying to run me over a little bit, I think, and we can't allow that. So I elect to check. He bets pretty damn big. No reason to do anything. Just call here. Completely safe turn. We check again. He absolutely bombs it. And my plan here was just like check call here and just check call any like total brick rivers. Obviously we're going to be check folding on nines, queens, diamonds, possibly even an ace. But if it comes off like the deuce of clubs on the river or the five of clubs on the river, something, we're just going to have to like suck it up and check call, because our hand's significantly under repped. We call again, we get a pretty bad river. I was definitely in like check fold mode. Unfortunately, it slowed our man down, but he did have me absolutely crushed. But never mind. Who knows if he takes a similar line there with worse hands just to try and get me to fold. Like I said, it could just be, it's not been a dynamic that's been running a long time. It could very easily just be variance of him like running hot versus my relatively capped ranges. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think I'm happy with the line that I took here. If we bet the flop, I think we'd have just gone broke, because he would have raised. I wouldn't have believed him probably, and just like call flop and then just like, I don't know, check shove turn or check call turn, check call river, something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, disappointing to not win the pot, but pleasing to get away with only losing 30 bigs, I guess. Again, it's not another particularly big pot. It's not a super interesting spot, but it just demonstrates how I do try and adjust to my opponents based on recent dynamics. And on this occasion, it saved me money, but I'm not sure it was correct to do what I did, but I did it anyway. Back to a fishy table here. Well, not a fishy table, but two fish up here. And we raise the ace queen suited as we're supposed to. Fishy player donks. Happy just to raise, get it in versus him. Raise, hopefully force this dude out of the pot with any equity he might have. I want to raise here and just try and get heads up with this fishy dude here, and that's what we attempted to do. Sadly, this dude does not comply. He decides to come along still. I think that's a pretty reasonable turn, though, to be fair. Shouldn't improve too many people. Imagine ace king's going to be 3-betting a lot pre-flop. If we were behind on the flop, we're still behind, but never mind. I think on balance of all the turn cards that could have come, I think this is a relatively good one. Our man checks. I think we should just not put it in here, but just bet and commit. I mean, if we bet here and this dude raises, then we're probably completely fucked. So I think we can possibly think about bet folding to this dude, depending on what size that I choose. But given I want to try and put this guy in, and I think try and like really charge this guy for drawing, I wouldn't hate a jam, to be fair. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I like just jamming here. We've got an SPR of like 1.2 or something like that. So yeah, I think I'll just, yeah, in fact, I don't know what I do, don't remember what I do, but I think I just like the jam. That's what we did do. We get called by the straight flush draw, and sadly, we improve on the river, but he improves further. And we lose the pot, but not going to complain too much. Happy with the way I played the hand. Another situation of operation success, but the patient still snuffed it, I guess. So in this hand, we raise the ace jack offsuit under the gun at a table that I'm just about to leave because it's just gone dreadful. We don't like 3 red, 1 orange, and 1 green. It's pretty bad dynamic for us. But obviously the ace jack's an open under the gun. We flop top pair on a very dry board. We like to go with the c bet. as of course we should. We get check called by someone who I think is a pretty decent regular. Could be wrong. I don't see him that often, but when I do see him, he seems to play well, seems quite aggressive. So when he check calls when there's such a dry flop, I'm thinking he can definitely have sets. He can have like some Jack 9 suited, although there's not many combinations. That left the guess there's just literally Jack 9 of diamonds. But do I think I can get like 3 streets here? I mean, he's going to need to have some stuff like King Jack, Queen Jack, Queen 10 we get 2 streets from, but I'd hate for him to like raise that on the turn, especially if he has like a hand like Queen 10 of spades. He can just like check raise and not care too much and put me in a really tough spot. And I think he's quite aggressive, so I elected to check back. When I get called on these dry boards on flops, there's not that many draws to try and like charge and not that much to protect against. I don't mind taking a check back line against aggressive players and then just looking to call down rivers. And that's the line that we're going to take here. We get a really good river. And he does that. He kind of very small overbet. I think it's incredibly unlikely that he's bluffing here. Maybe once in a while he has like a Queen 10 or a 10-8 suited, something like that. I mean, we can't fold because we're just way too high up in our range, but I don't think there's much scope for raising for value. I mean, what do we get value from? Jack 9. Yeah, Jack 9 basically. Unless he just decides to hero us with some other jacks that just thinks that. Well, I don't think he can't. He doesn't choose his sides with a jack either. So yeah, I think he's pretty polarized here toward having us beat or having a bluff. Nearly all of the time. Don't think he's doing this very often with like a worse hand for value. Jack 9 would be like the only one I could reasonably think of. So I don't take too long to think about it, or at least I don't think I do. We call, and he just has one of those value hands we do beat, fortunately. When I see most players betting big on rivers and being like polarizing themselves, and you guys will see the same in your games, it's not a bluff anywhere near as much as you want it to be. It's usually just going to be value hands. We can make quite a lot of quite tight folds versus like really big polarizing river bets, but we can't really fold 2 pair on that run out. We just need to call, and if he did have the set of deuces or the set of 9s or whatever, then he's just got like a really good river for him to get paid on, and he gets paid. But fortunately this one works out good for us and we just move on again. So here we have the ace king off in the big blind at a pretty good table. This guy was like the only unknown. He was kind of a weird player. He was doing a little bit of limping, then he was doing a lot of like 4xing and 5xing and sometimes like 7xing. It was certainly not a good player, but I don't think he was like super loose. I think his limping range was probably on like the weaker side, but nothing like stupidly weak. And I think he just had like something of a sizing tell pre-flop. It felt like he did. I hadn't figured it out, but it felt like he did. Anyway, 5x is the button. This dude in the small blind calls. He'd been pretty loose passive. Just obviously it's too good an opportunity to pass up, so we need to go with the 3-bet, and we go with the big one by the looks of things. And the opponent doesn't take very much time in calling, and then we just get like the absolute nut worst flop. Not the nut worst flop, but as good as a nut worst flop. There's really not a lot we can do here. I ain't going to expect this dude to have a lot of pocket pairs here that are just not likely to fold. I think he probably felt like he was probably limping with his smaller pairs and like raising quite big with his like probably 8-8, 9-9 through to ace-ace, etc. I mean, maybe he just has 2 good broadways here and he's just going to check back and let's get to showdown. However, who knows? I didn't have much of a read at him on him at all post flop. But generally speaking, versus unknown people who might not be good, this isn't a board that I'm going to be firing too many c-bets on with a hand that doesn't have too much hope of improving. And we check, hoping he checks back. He does not comply. It's not the biggest of bets, but there's just nothing much we can do here. We're just going to have to fold a lot. If this dynamic continued with this player, where he was like not folding to 3 bets and then stabbing versus c-bets, stabbing versus checks, and I would just start popping some like strong hands into a check raising range like aces, kings, queens, etc. on this, and just like check ship on him. With that dynamic didn't exist at that time, and with ace king here, there's just not going to be that much we can do other than let it go. If you'd bet much smaller, like £2 or something, I think we'd have to peel. But versus like almost 1/3 pot, still a smallish bet, but there's just not enough good things can happen for us in this situation, and I was a little bit frustrated and folded. So in this hand, this player sat against us. I'm not one for playing anyone that isn't green tagged heads up. I think the rake's maybe too hard to beat, but I don't know much about this player. He's tagged orange. He might be orange with a hint of green, might be orange with a hint of red. I don't know, but I elected to play him for a few minutes just to see what happened. See if the game started, and B, to see if he was any good. And it had been adopting that, what seemed like so far. We've probably been playing for about 5 minutes at this point. He'd either been 3-betting or folding out of the big blind. He hadn't been doing any calling whatsoever, and him like raising a decent amount from the button or folding, no limping. So he seemed to be playing like pretty solidly. I think Ace Jack, given he'd probably like 3-bet maybe 3 out of 12 times or something. Maybe, I'm not sure. I wasn't counting. But it feels like he was like not getting massively out of line with his 3-betting, but with a high enough frequency where we can like defend Ace Jack in some way for sure. And I elected to defend it this time with the 4-bet. I'm planning on folding to a 5-bet, of course. We don't want to be getting Ace Jack in pre-flop. So I went with the small 4-bet, because I thought if he is like 3-betting a depolarised range out of position, it puts a lot of pressure on his like worse Ace X, King Queens, King Jacks, things like that, maybe his smallish pairs. We don't need to go crazy, so I elected to use that sizing. That may or may not be good logic, but it's what I do. Anyway, he checks. I think given with 4-bet pre, I don't remember this hand now from post-flop. I remember pre-flop why I did it, but I don't remember what happens from post-flop. But given that we 4-bet pre-flop, we have a lot more of the big pairs in our range than he does. He has a lot of stuff that just hasn't improved on this board. So I think we probably should go with the c-bet here. And we don't have to go super big either. Anything to 40 up to £3 I'd be happy with. And I don't remember, I might not even c-bet, who knows. I might just think I've got showdown value and check back. I'm fine checking back, but I think I prefer betting. Let's see what I do. And we go with the bet. Obviously planning on folding to a raise. He calls. Not the greatest of turn cards. We can still be ahead of some of his range here. I guess that just peels one. Not too much, I suppose. But I think we're probably just about having a showdown. There's no sense continuing betting here. I don't have like anything in my 4-betting range that has a very strong hand on this board anymore, because I'm not 4-betting. He might not know this, but I'm not 4-betting pocket pairs here, like that would have connected to make a set. Maybe I have like 3 combinations of ace, or 4 combinations of ace 5 suited, and that's about it. It's like the only 5x I can have, because I'm not 3-betting 6-5, I'm not 4-betting 6-5 suited, etc. So at this point, I'm just like hoping to try and take that to showdown. He checks again on the river, and I'm very happy to check back very quickly. And he had the ace-8, and heads up is not my thing. Obviously I'm fine heads up against fish, because even though I make lots of mistakes, they make even more mistakes. So I'm completely fine playing fish heads up. I think I'm probably an underdog to most regulars heads up when you take rake. Without rake, I think I'd probably do okay against them, breaking evenish. But I think like when the rake's involved, I'm probably not good enough. Well, I know I'm not good enough to beat the rake heads up against other similar ability regulars. And I guess that's the same said for most of us. Most of the regulars on Sky probably wouldn't be that good. There are some good ones that I certainly wouldn't play heads up. There's many that I don't play just because I don't think I'm beating the rake, even though I don't think I'm a big underdog to them. So I don't think that the quality of heads up tables starting to great on Sky, but I just choose not to start tables with regulars because I think it's high rake, high variance, stressful on your mental game. I think there's more downsides than upsides to it. But we did it here because I didn't have many tables going and I was trying to keep my session going. This was coming towards the end of the session. Didn't have that many tables going. I was trying to keep my session going. So I thought, well, let's just see what table forms. And it did form as a Ramses in the end. So it was worthwhile. And we dragged down a pot, having not really had a fucking clue what we were doing at any point. So, go us. So, on to the last hand of the video. We've got 2 queens here. Don't know this player in the big blind. Didn't know him at all. Completely new name to me. I'm going to treat him like he's an unknown fish until he plays well enough to prove otherwise. So on this board, we just upsize and get lots of value from all kinds of things. Well, not upsize, but make sure we bet on the larger side. And we obviously make the virtual nuts on the turn. It's not the nuts, of course, but it's nutted enough where we're delighted to see it. And I like to go with a pretty big bet again. Here I'm trying to target stuff like, I don't know, 7-6, 7-5, 6-5, 4-5, 8-7, all kinds of things that can definitely pay at least one more street. I think if we does have a hand like that, we're going to get our value now. We're not going to get it on the river. So I like to go with a big bet. I was surprised to see the jam, to be fair, because I was more thinking he was in the region of the pair plus straight draw area. Obviously, we're going to waste no time in calling, and it was just a standard cooler situation for him. Very unlucky for him, very lucky for us, and that was pretty much wrapped up the session. I played for another few minutes, but nothing much happened. And yeah, I think it was a session where we ended up in a few unfortunate spots. Again, still not. I wasn't super happy with my play, to be honest. I've not been happy with my play for a few days now, probably since Saturday, if not maybe early. I think Friday night was probably fine, actually. I think it's since Saturday I've not been too happy with my play. But doing these like 2 or 3 videos have been a really useful exercise for me because it's brought home to me just how badly I've been playing, really. That compared to how well I know I can play. I know that some people have commented on the videos in Facebook, or they've messaged me to say that you're being too harsh on yourself. You're maybe not playing your best, but you're not playing as bad as you think you are. But I know when I'm playing well. I know not necessarily like the decisions I'm making or the points I'm arriving at. It's just how I'm thinking when I'm playing and what's going through my mind and the stuff that you don't see where people are just making bets and making raises and making calls and things. It's just like a slight lack of confidence and definite lack of aggression, which is something that's I started working on this again last night. It's something that I took into a very short session I played on Sky earlier today, and I know I need to be finding spots to be more aggressive, but in a smart way, a bit less like monster under the bed syndrome. That's definitely crept in. Just like, oh, what if we get raised here? What if we get raised? What if it doesn't fold? All those types of things, all the insecurities that we all have from time to time when things haven't been going great for us. They've crept in because we've had like I say, we've had like round about a break even the last 5 days or so, which is unusual for me on Sky. It's not usually how it goes. To be fair, the games haven't been great. Early to midweek on Sky, you can sometimes find some good games, but by and large, you're not finding tons of good games. The daytime sessions have been a complete washout, basically. Not much has been going on. So yeah, we've been in a bit of a lull, but it does feel like I'm about to come out of it. I feel like I've addressed a few issues in my mental game. Addressed a few issues in like adjusting or like fixing a few mistakes that I've been making, and hopefully we're about to go into the weekend and capitalise on the work we've done this week on trying to get our game back up to full speed. I'm not sure when the next video is going to be out, by the way. This isn't because I can't be asked to make them, because I've been enjoying them. It's been a super useful exercise for me personally. Even if the videos didn't do that well, it's still been a super useful exercise. But after today, on Thursday, one of the projects that I do relief work for is having something of a crisis. It's the middle of summer. People on annual leave. Some people who are off on sick leave, and they've got a lot of work that needs covering. So I don't like doing it, but after today, from Friday, I'm in like Friday, I'm off Saturday, then I'm in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. Some of those days are going to be like 10-hour days. I've got two 10-hour days, one 9-hour day, the rest is 7.5. So not very much time for poker or video making, but we'll try and squeeze one in if we can. But when I'm working that many hours, when I come home, I tend to just want to chill out and just watch retro television programs. I'm currently starting to rewatch Alfreda's Impet from Series 1. Been quite enjoying that. So next week's probably going to be a lot of like go to work, come home, chill out, maybe play some poker, but not going to push it. If I'm tired and I just don't want to play, if I've had a long day, I'm just not going to play. So if there's no videos next week, it's not because I've gone on another YouTube hiatus, very much because I'm just going to be a little bit too tired to play and obviously not create content to make videos with. So who knows? Maybe there's one next week, maybe not, but if not, there'll be another one before the end of the month for sure. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and bye-bye for now.